All right, it's good to have us all here tonight. It's another time with the enthusiastic tutor. Okay, let's send the link to the class. So, okay, so let's send the link to the class. All right, so the link has been shared to the class. So I'll wait for them to join. It's been a very busy day, a very stressful day. The thing going on, everybody knows the thing going on with the no cash policy, and it's really not. I'm really not finding it funny. Every day people struggle to get cash. Also, Mr. Jolas is here with us again, always punctual as usual. Mr. Jolas, it's great to have you join us today. So, while we just wait for others, you know, the way things are. Oh, also, Mr. Jolas, it's great to have you. The way things are going on in Nigeria these days, making payments is not it's not something as easy as it used to be before. Mr. Abraham Joseph, great, it's good to have you here tonight. Thank you for joining us. It's actually very stressful, and I happen to work in a place whereby you know I am in charge of payment, receiving of payments and the likes. And believe me, you, it's very, very, very difficult these days receiving payment. You want to use your card, it's a problem. You want to transfer, it's a problem. You don't have cash. I mean, it's crazy these days. But here we are. You have a new president, the new elect president, as INEC has said, and we are hopeful that things will stabilize uh, as soon as possible. So yesterday assignment, some persons have submitted it, and I'm yet to receive some other person's assignments. Mr. Joseph, I'm not sure you have submitted your assignment because I've not received any from you. I think Mr. Jolas did already. Um, so and today I think the tutorial on MTH 105 has been uploaded. I believe many of us have seen it, and it's still the continuation of conceptual logic. And I think the topic treated was disjunction and conjunction, the types of connectives. I think we treated that one in the previous class, but the other two types of connectives that were discussed in the recent tutorial of MTH 105 was um, conjunction and disjunction. You know, we are getting into it, and we are getting into the main business. I think by 12, by now, maybe the TMA will have been uploaded because we are already in today is Friday already, fourth. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think today is the TMA is starting by fourth, so everybody is hopeful and waiting to see the TMA. Everybody is eager and ready to battle the TMA, attempt it. As fun as anticipated with my hobby, TMAs are not as simple or as easy as it might sound, as it might seem, because any small mistake, there are no rules for correction. The moment you send it and it asks you, "Are you sure you want to submit?" The moment you say yes, there's nothing like, "Oh, I forgot." There's nothing like that. So that is that for that. So tonight's class, yesterday we spoke about psychologists, the use of psychology in policing. We're able to define what policing is. Yesterday, we said policing is the process or the means whereby law and order is being implemented in a society. And we spoke about the use of psychology in the force, in the police force, how beneficiary it can be to the officers of the law. And we made something clear yesterday. We said psychologists can't be substituted for the law itself. Psychology is only there to aid the law. And we also spoke about consultants. We were able to establish who a consultant is, and we were able to establish that a consultant is someone who offers professional services or professional advice to an individual or an organization. And we also said something about a consultant being a specialist in a particular field. They are very specialized. They have their own specialized kind of field, and in this field, they are top notch. They offer the best service to whether an individual or an organization. So we were able to talk about that yesterday, and that was how and we also spoke about the advantage and disadvantage, and we spoke about an in-house psychologist, and that rounds up yesterday's class. So in today's class, we're going to be treating perception, and we're going to be saying a lot of things about perception. You know, what is perception? The time. I think I should put my phone on silent so that we don't get distracted. Just give me a moment, please. Let me do that quickly. A lot of students are still finding it difficult to log into their portal, and it's quite unfortunate. But I believe in due time all that will be sorted out. So tonight we'll be talking about perception. What is perception? The concept perception. Now, to give my own understanding, to give my own point about what perception is before we reach what is the material, perception basically means the ability to hear, to understand, to comprehend, and draw conclusions about things. Perception could simply mean how you view or how you judge a matter. When somebody say that is his own perception, meaning that is how, on this case, that is your perception. Meaning that this is how you have seen, or this is how you have evaluated this case. So that's that for me on perception. So according to the material, we have perception is a psychological operation that is basic to the determination of terminal human behavior. Now, the key word here is that perception is a psychological operation. And this psychological operation is a basic determinant to terminal. Terminal means something permanent, something settled, something certain. Now, when we say terminal human behaviors that are sealed, human behavior that are permanent. Now, let me bring this together. Perception is a psychological operation. When you say psychological, the thing that has to do with the brain, the way you reason. Could we then say perception is a process of reasoning that is being determined by inherent human behaviors? Should I take that again? Perception could be defined as a process of human reasoning that determines human reasoning that determines inherent means something you got from your parents, something your progenitors has handed down to you, something you got from your parents, which is inherent human behaviors. Now, it is important for you to know that Without any satisfactory perception of this precise nature of the stimulus, object, or things, there cannot be accurate cognition. Now, without cognition, there can be no learning. Let's not forget cognition has to do with the ability of thinking, the ability of reasoning properly. Now, without cognition, there can be no learning. That is a point you should take down. Without cognition, there can be no learning. Excuse me. It is therefore likely that wrong percepts may lead to wrong, mistaken concepts, and hence the psychological of perception becomes so to basic a topic in introductory text of educational psychology. Now, just to take this that if there is no cognition, there cannot be learning. If you are not mentally balanced, if your thinking faculty is not functioning properly, then you might find it difficult to learn. Now, let's get this. Perception implies the psychological process occurring in the brains of the organism. That's a point we should take down too. Perception implies the psychological process occurring in the brains of organisms. The psychological process in the sense that the thinking process that occurs in the brains of organisms. Now, this leads to the organization and organization and interpretation of sensory information. Sensory information in the sense that these are informations that passes through that the brain sends to the body and the body carries out. Sensory information received from stimulus. Stimulus or stimuli. Stimulus are carriers of information. They are reactors. Once the brain stimulus, they receive information, they receive perceptions. They are like carriers. We'll get to understand better as we continue. Perception mechanisms include analysis, synthesis, and integration of sensory information. Now, this process of perception, there are there are four basic things that makes up this process. You analyze, you synthesize, you integrate, and I think there are just three. Now, the process of perception has three main points, which are the analysis, the process of analyzing, the process of synthesizing, and the process of integration. And all these processes are targeted at dissecting sensory information. Sensory information in the sense that, for example, now, just like the way I scratched my cheek, the brain has passed an information that this cheek is scratching me, and now my hand now says, okay, I have received this information, and the instruction that follows is that go here and scratch it. See, nothing happened out of mistake. Everything is being programmed, just as we have computers, whereby we input information and it gives us, and the output is what we get from it. That's how the body functions. The brain, in with the message, the process whereby the brain sends sensory messages to the body is like the speed of lightning. Before I can move this hand, oh, Miss Patient say our network is very bad. Oh, sorry about that. I think it's a general problem. Today, the issue of network. One thing is that nothing happens out of mismanagement or nothing happens out of order. See, the moment I went for before I went for this my handkerchief on the table here, the brain already passed the message that you are sweating. Let me explain how this thing works. We say we are still talking about analyzing. All these things happens in a twinkling of an eye with the speed of lightning. Analyzing, synthesizing, integration of sensory information. It is the brain that gives this information. Now, just like before I picked, as I was using the analogy of me picking my handkerchief, the brain already passed this information that you are sweating. Get your handkerchief and wipe your face. And in no time, my hand is responding. My hand is going straight to where the handkerchief is and is picking it up and is rubbing the face. And it's this same brain that still passes the information that, okay, now that you are done wiping your face, keep the handkerchief and continue with what you are doing. I don't know if we understand this process of passing sensory information that the brain does. The brain does a lot of work. Now, let's just continue. When several individuals confront an object or thing in their environment, the input of information that impinges their impinges in the sense that the input of information that the brain signals their representative sense organs, for example, the eye, the ear, and so on, is the same every individual through they perceive differently. Now, just like as I've used the analogy of me picking this handkerchief to wipe my face, whenever we come across any object, just like as Material has said, whenever we come across any situation, the brain immediately, just like when you are walking on the road and you see on your path, that same path you are walking, there's a stone there. Why? How do you think you evade? How do you think you, instead of hitting your leg against that stone, you rather avoided the stone? How do you think that works? Does it just happen? It doesn't just happen. That's the work of the brain. Now, the moment you come across the stone, the brain is telling you that this stone, avoid it, take the other part or cross it. Don't just hit your leg against it. Now, according to the material, it says information that is passed from the brain when you're in an environment, information that is passed to the brain could be to the eye. Probably something wants to enter into your eye, and your brain tells that something is coming, you can see it, avoid it. Or the ear, and so on. So that is that for that. Now, and all these things is being perceived differently as individuals differs. Now, in your own world, what do you understand by perception? Just like what we said, perception has to do with the ability to think, to perceive, to process information, to hear, to see a particular situation and draw conclusion. And we made mention of 3 points in perception, which are analyzing, synthesizing, integration of what sensory information. Now, various explanations can be offered as perceive why individuals perceive differently when they are all confronted with the same stimulus. Now, M suggested that a model to understand this feature of individual differences in perceiving process, which with some modification is represented. Now, the M suggests something about why is it that individuals differ in their thinking, why is that individuals differ in their response and actions. So according to the table we have here in page that's page 86 here. I don't know what is in hard copy, but as you can see here, we see the stimulus, which is the inputs, something that triggers an action. That's the stimulus. Could be you saw something, it could be a pinch, it could be anything, but something that triggers an action is called stimulus. So now we have the stimulus, we have the filter, we have the error comparator, we have the sensory nerves, we have the motor nerves, and we have feedback and meditation in between. Now, the model of perception mechanism, it is seen from the above model that the input of information from stimulus is apt in the sense that it's absolute to the same for every individual. Now, the model that input of information from the stimulus, the way everybody receives information is the same. We all see with our eye, we all hear with our ear, we all breathe with our nose. That has been established. That the input of information from stimulus is apt to be same, it's correct to be same for every individual. But sometimes must but something must be happening within the organism that tends to alter the organization and interpretation of the information so that it's responded by the organism as perception of the stimulus. Now, something definitely differentiates Mr. Jolas from Mr. Joseph. Mr. Joseph from Miss Bricky. Sorry, Miss Bricky, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely, the moment you sense an object, there is something about you that alters the breaking down of this information, and that thing has to do with your own personality. Same question can be asked for me and you, and my own perception to that question will definitely differ from yours. That is what is called original content, unique content. Because this thing you are saying is only you that can say it. Meaning that as you are saying it, there can't be an exact version of that same thing you are saying at that moment. Now, the entire process of filtering the whole range of information, sensations, and motor activities of the nerve include feature of comparisons of error in interpretation before the response perception is formed may be termed meditation. Now, the meditation, now, as you can see on the diagram, that when an information is being received, which is the stimulus, then it's being filtered, you understand, and the sensory nerve responds to it and send it back to the motor nerve, which now carry out the action. This process is known as mediation. The process of receiving, the process of stimulus reacting to information, breaking it down and sending it to the sensory nerve, and the sensory nerve sending it back now to the motor nerve is known as mediation. Okay, now, since the individuals are likely to differ among themselves in their mediation mechanism, they perceive differently the same stimulus objects. Definitely. Since individuals are likely differ among themselves in their mediation process, now it is this mediation process that actually differentiates the way I will see things from the way you see things. Because all of us will definitely perceive, will see, then it's being sent to the sensory organ and the motor organ is being sent, but the results can never be the same thing. So the mediation process of every individual differs. Now, what are the factors affecting perception? Stimulus configuration factors. I beg your pardon tonight. You might need to excuse me a bit because I feel really exhausted right now. The stress of work and coming to the class again. But I mean, it's what I signed up for. So I'm not complaining. But tonight we might not be going too far. So we're just going to talk about factors affecting perceptions. Now we have stimulus configuration factors. Now we have Gestalt School of Psychology. A school of psychology of perception. Now, Gestalt is a school of psychology. Now, this school of psychology is a school of the psychology of perception. Dash is a school of psychology perception. Gestalt School of Psychology. Excuse me. Now, originating from Germany, has made a significant contribution in solving how different configurations of the stimuli, configurations in the sense that the process of interpretation and transferring for usage. Now, differ different configuration of the stimuli in the environment lead to easy perception. The following are some of the important factors influencing perception. Now, one of the first things is that grouping of stimuli. When many stimuli of different types are presented to individuals, now we are referring to stimuli now as what propels, what triggers an action. It could be what you have seen, it could be what you have heard, it could be anything. Stimulus is what triggers you to do something. Now, when many stimuli of different types are presented to individuals, it is found that grouping of stimulus aids perception. Let's find out. Some example in class teaching. In classroom teaching, the children will perceive better if the materials they learn are presented in some well organized groups of similar types, shapes, or cases and categories. Okay, this is quite, excuse me, this is quite self-explanatory. No, it is said to be that stimulus will be better if information is being grouped. Grouping of stimulus, information will be aided itself if grouping of stimulus is applied. And from the word grouping of stimulus, this is when um, different types of grouping of stimulus is being done. You understand? Now, the information you are trying to get in, the information you are trying to comprehend, is being arranged in bits, unlike you just getting everything at once. Now, you have similarity of the stimulus. For example, now if you are studying, if your stimulus, what you are studying, is not properly grouped, you might have difficulties in comprehending them. And we have similarities of the stimulus. Stimulus elements will be more easily perceived that human ones in the teaching of mathematics. It will help if the mathematics teacher can classify the problem of mathematics size into set small similar problems. Similarity of stimulus is also one good, so it's also one way to definitely monitor activities of the stimulus. You know, when the stimulus are similar, can it helps you to remember, to reflect, and identify the stimulus. Proximity, that's closeness. The word proximity. If stimuli elements are in close proximity to one another, the perception becomes an easier process than when they are remotely associated in block log in black bond representation of the teaching material. Proximity in the sense that elements are in close proximity to one another. Okay, now this proximity has to do with when stimulus are close, like they are close to each other. It helps you identify and process them quickly. Attention and perception. Human perception is a selective process. We cannot attend to more than one thing at a time, and perception at the end same time. For example, when you are listening to a person talking to you, you do not attend any other person talking to you at the same time. attention, perception. You tend to select that stimulus information in which you are interested or directed at. Very good. If you're having a conversation now and somebody just came from nowhere, I want to interpret. If the person can't wait, some person stores it, but I don't do it. If the person can't wait, then the person can leave. But in this case, we are talking about human perception here. Yeah, human perception now. You tend to select stimulus, information in which you are interested to. Now, giving your attention to perception is very necessary because if you are giving your perception on something you are not giving your attention to, then what will your conclusion be? Then what will your judgment be? So when you talk about perception and attention, they work intertwined. And definitely you must give attention to what your perception on the matter come will come around about. So we have that as that. So we have exercise 2. When you are in this unit, take a pencil in your hand and hold in a foot way. Try to keep attention on as long as possible during the program. Now I think that is of the various factors affecting attention. Okay, the novelty of stimulus, repetition, insensitive sense of stimulus. I don't know. I think all these are new topics. Now, after the self-assessment being discussed, as I've just done, so we have something called one of the various factors affects facilitating for action following. Now, one of the factors that facilitate, one of the factors that propels attention of individuals are novelty. Novelty in the sense that how new, the genuineness of the stimulus. A good novel situation or stimulus will not at once draw the attention of the person confronted with such a situation. Now, repetition of the some stimulus. A stimulus word is sentenced to a stimulus word is sentence is a similar word or a sentence or a figure would be attracted if it's the same repeated frequently. Okay, now intensity. I'm really sorry I'm not really going into details tonight. I really love to, but I'm losing strength and I feel so exhausted. So please, I believe before we take tomorrow class, I'll just quickly recap on this. And tomorrow class, I'm looking how we can make it 9 o'clock. If it's possible, we can just make it 9 o'clock so we can have um, I think we can have enough time to discuss at length. So let's just take down this point. Now, factors facilitating attention of individuals, the size of the stimulus. Thank you, Mr. Julas. Mr. Joseph, she has to go get some rest. Thank you very much. We will still be running up with the class. We talked about the things that facilitate of attention of a stimulus. Now we have the attention of individuals. We have novelty of the stimulus. Novelty means the genuineness, the newness, the uniqueness. We have the repetition. We have the intensity and the size of the stimulus. And we have the contrasting stimulus as well, which speaks about all that. So we have personality factors. Besides the above factors that we mentioned, there are other factors which differ from individual to individual. This influence individual perception to be considered some considerable extent. Now, individuals' interests, values, and cultural background. Their experience in life also differ, and this experience generates expectations along. Now, it is for this reason that we should consider each of these factors separately, vice versa. Learning style and perception. Some individuals are reflective in their learning style. Reflecting in the sense that when they learn something, they reflect over it over time. They go back to it and think of it again. They reflect over it. They review it. And they take much longer time to perceive a stimulus and pattern. Some persons are like that. Probably will call them late adopters. They are usually more accurate in their recall of the perceived stimuli. Now, but if the stimuli are presented only for a short while, then these individuals are likely to miss out a lot of the details of the stimulus, though recalling with accuracy the part of stimulus situation. Now, learning style here is that the learning style and perception. The learning style is more of reflection. When you reflect over things, you get to understand it better. After learning something, then you go back and reflect over it, then you get to understand this better. So that's what this learning style is all about. So now we have the motivation and perception. Individuals perceive things according to their motivation and needs. Definitely. What does not interest you might not get your attention. Just like now that we are looking for cash, how to manage your cash and how to get sufficient cash to get you to work. And then you're looking for cash now because you want to buy food or something. You're just looking for cash to get you to work. Like me now, let me not say you. Everybody has what they want, but someone like me, that I need cash to go to work. Like if matters arising from how to get cash pops up, and matter arising from maybe doing some other things, the stimulus coming emanating from how to get that cash will get my attention well, because that is enough motivation for me. The stimuli now that we refer to as the reactor, what propels, what triggers that thing that has to do with getting of cash will trigger me the more, because now it seems more of what I'm concerned about. It seems more of my need. That is what this motivation and perception is talking about. What you are interested in gets your perception. Now, interests, values, and perceptions. Individuals tend to perceive according to their interests and values. That is very true. Let's not forget that all these things under personality factors. All these things are actually your personality and how these factors influence your perception. Definitely your culture, your interests, your values and perceptions, your experience and perception. Definitely, evidence has shown that we tend to perceive according to our experience. It's very true. So the conclusion of what we have just said is that we've spoken about what perception is, and we've also spoken about factors that influences perception. And we've also spoken about the configuration of stimulus, attention, and personality factors. So the summary of what we have just said is that this model has explained the mechanism shown by individuals differ in perception when confronted with same stimulus at the same time. Now, besides this, there are various factors that tend to influence perception. For example, Gestalt factors of stimulus configuration, factors of attention, and personality factors. These are factors that actually affect our perceptions. So we have defined our tutored mark. I think there is no need for this to assignment, so that for as many who have not done their previous assignment, they can do it and submit. I think these ones are quite straightforward. So we have defined perception, list stimulus configuration factors, list any for attention factors that affect perception. I think all that we discussed already in the course of the class. So that is that for that tonight. We said something about personality, we said something about reception, we said something about the intensity, we said something about the size. All this makes up what affects and affects our perception. So tomorrow's class we're entering into the last module. I think this is the last module of this course. Let me just check that quickly. I think that's the last, if I'm not mistaken. Checking. So I'll check quickly so we can. So I want us. Today is Thursday already. I want us to finish this program, this material before. Okay, we still have module 4. I want us to finish this material before Sunday. So that on Monday we are starting with something else. So tomorrow we should be able to run up with module 3. I'm going to ensure that. And I'm looking at us having this class tomorrow by 9 so that we can get on as early as possible and do a lot. So that'll be that for now. So tomorrow class is going to be focused on. I'm just gonna quickly check that. It's going to be focused on. I think another yeah. Okay, module 3 has about 4 units, 5 units. God will help us. We'll conclude the 5 units tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be loaded. I'm just going to be giving the points, explaining them in bits. I'm going to be moving to at a very fast pace. So as early as 3 p.m. tomorrow, I will communicate the time to us. Okay, before 10. But you can be in class by 10. Okay, before 10. Okay, what I will do is that tomorrow class will be different because I'll make the process a bit fast tomorrow. So I want us to conclude with this course before Sunday so we can move to the next course and we can get on with the class. So let's see how it goes tomorrow, but I can assure us that tomorrow I will make sure we conclude our module 3 and that will be that for us. Thank you very much, guys. This brings us to the end of today's class, and I just want to encourage each and every one of us. As you can see how stressful, for you to be up this late at night having this class only means one thing: you are set for the game. It's what you signed up for, and your hands are on the plow now. You can't look back. I just want to encourage us. You can imagine myself with all the stress I work today. We still have to do this, and let's not forget, at the end of it all, success is important. Our results must be different from those who don't attend classes as we are having. Thank you very much, guys. And I look forward to seeing us in tomorrow's class. I think it's 12 a.m. already in today's class. Good night, everyone. Bye.